What is up, everybody? Coming at you again for UFC 229. A little bit different this week. MMA 101. I'm here joined with my co-host Josh. Today we're gonna kind of break down UFC 229 on a high level. We have a special guest on the show, but before I introduce him, as always, I'm joined by the brains and the muscle behind the show, Josh at Stonewall MMA. What's going on, my friend?
Not much, man. Ready for 229. I mean, I don't know about you. I'm kind of ready to get our co-hosts, our special guests' take on this, but it doesn't really feel like, you know, a Conor McGregor fight week yet. I don't know. Once they get like the press conference and the weigh-ins, and like we start seeing a little bit more of the circus, maybe I'll start like, you know, getting the shakes like I usually do in like one of these giant fight weeks. But I'm not feeling it quite yet, so I'm curious to see how you guys feel about it.
Yeah, man, I think that we're going to touch on that too, about the Conor McGregor hype. But before we get started, I want to introduce our special guest filling in with us today. One of my best friends in the whole world from my hometown, Cody Markovich at Kid Cody 87 on Twitter. What's going on, my friend? You there? There you
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, guys, a little internet connection problem. But yeah, I've known you for a while. We played high school hockey together.
That's right.
Ever since. Stillman, hung out with you in college a lot. You guys were into UFC back in the day from the beginning. So yeah, thanks for having me on. This is I've been looking forward to this. Thanks, guys.
Absolutely, man, and thank you so much for coming on. And we're going to start with you.
Yeah.
How do you describe yourself? You know, you and I have been watching UFC for a while now. Would you call yourself a casual fan, a blowhard fan? Like, where do you lie in that? You know, when you watch MMA, how'd you get into it?
Yeah, it's more of a gray area. I would deem myself. I'm not casual, and I'm not obsessed like you guys are.
That's a strong word.
I don't know. We need to come up with a term for what I am.
Yeah, that's fair. How did you get into
degenerate UFC gambler? I don't know.
So you prefer gambling as opposed to DFS?
Yeah, I mean we can get into the whole thing, but yeah, I do. I definitely prefer betting over DFS, but my start in UFC was DraftKings.
Okay, how'd you?
I don't hate DraftKings. I get more of a rush when I bet on fights.
All right, that's fair. And kind of that's a pretty good transition. So, how did you get into MMA DFS? I'm not going to steal your thunder on this, but tell me how you got into it. There's one particular time, whatever. Tell us about that.
Yeah. So it was end of December 2016 after Christmas. Is my connection okay? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah,
I mean, it keeps. I'll just try and power through it because I want people to hear this. December 2016 after Christmas, I get a call. And on Saturday, and it's Drew, and he goes, "Yeah, bro, I'm coming over. I'm buying this fight, and you're gonna sit there and you're gonna like it." You get an hour. So he shows up. I'm frantically trying to buy the fight. I bought the standard definition version of it.
I forgot about that. You did not buy HD.
I did not buy the HD version, so that was, you know, I didn't know what the hell I was doing. So and then he gets there and he's like, "All right, let's make a DraftKings lineup so you can have fun." So he gives me a lineup and he goes, "The main fight is a guy from Ohio that you're gonna absolutely love." I'm like, "Okay, whatever, dude." So we ended up watching the card. I don't remember much of the card at all, but it was the Cody Garbrandt versus Dominic Cruz fight. And I found myself during the fight standing down in the middle of my apartment. My wife is just looking at me like I'm a crazy person. As Cody Garbrandt is knocking Dominic Cruz silly and just standing there, and as I have a DraftKings lineup with him, I'm freaking out. I have 5 of 5. I need Cody to win. And he's clowning him, and I'm getting so mad. And I look at Drew, and he's glued to his lineups. And he looks up, and he goes, "Chill out, dude. He's fine." And he ended up winning. And ever since then, I haven't missed a card. really is what it comes down to. I find a way to watch every card.
Yeah, and I remember that night vividly. We were both upset. We're like, dude, stop clowning on this dude and just beat his ass. But yeah, that was the night. The Cody bond was formed, and every time Cody and I'll talk about UFC, he goes, when's Cody fighting next? When's Cody up next? But yeah, I will say Cody has he's been a true fan, jumped in right from the start, always listens to the podcast, listens to the show, and we appreciate that. So guys, I'm kind of going to start a conversation here. Let's touch on UFC 29 as a whole. What are your thoughts on the card itself? Josh, I'm going to start with you on this one. Are you super hyped up for this card from curtain jerker to main event, or is it a little top heavy for you? Where do you lie on this?
Yeah, I mean, it's like outside of the main card and maybe like one or two prelims, it's a pretty standard like UFC card or UFC pay-per-view. Like, your Fight Pass prelims, they could be on literally any card. There's nothing like, this isn't UFC 200 where like Gegard Mousasi versus Thiago Santos is like on Fight Pass or something like that. It's not that kind of card. You don't necessarily, with Conor on top, you don't need to stack the card top to bottom. The biggest selling pay-per-view of all time is UFC 202, and I couldn't tell you the co-main event of that. It was the Conor-Nate rematch, and I have no idea who else was even on that card. It didn't really matter because you've got him on top, and that's pretty much it. So I'm definitely looking forward to. I'm like, it's really, really smart of them to have put Tony Ferguson in the co-main event, because if Khabib gets hurt or something, then it can just like slide him right in there. I thought that was really smart. Seeing him, I'm kind of expecting him to just throttle pretty Tony Pettis. I like that fight because it's ugly Tony versus pretty Tony. So I think that's pretty cool. You get to see Dominic Reyes, who is like a really super hot prospect at light heavyweight, probably murder Ovince St. Preux. So that's cool. Then you get a kind of like a heavyweight #1 contender fight between Derek Lewis and Alexander Volkov. So you got like, there's some meat underneath Conor and Khabib, but this isn't like a stacked card top to bottom. So it's a good one. Looking forward to that main event the whole time is gonna tide you over through whatever else this card looks like.
Yeah, I would agree with that. And Cody, I want to ask you, are you going to order this fight solely because of McGregor, or are there other fights in the card that kind of get you excited? I know you're a fan of the Black Beast, Derek Lewis, but are you buying this fight for pretty much one card, or I'm buying this card for one fight?
Yeah, I am. And so this card this fight is what us casuals live for, right? I mean, this is why we show up. Conor McGregor. But
the biggest draw in sport.
I actually just scanned this card, and I can tell you this looks like a limp dick card that you just get on a random June weekend. Nobody's really talking about except for the main event. Yeah, the Black Beast holds a special place in my heart after he gutted through a back injury when I had tons of cash on him. Love him. Can't believe he's fighting after that disgrace fight he had where they just stood there against Ngannou. What a joke.
I thought they were running that back as a rematch in Russia. Am I wrong on that, Josh?
Yeah, I don't think they were ever going to run that back. After the first time, they were like, let's never, ever do this again.
I saw something on Twitter. Maybe I was getting trolled,
this card, I know OSP, I know the Black Beast, I know Pettis, but other than that, I mean, yeah, I'll be listening to your pod tomorrow, and I will be going fight by fight as usual.
Yeah, that'll boy, and I appreciate you the casual perspective, calling it a limp dick card. And I mean, I got to be honest with you, Josh, I'm excited for it because we're pretty serious into this stuff. But just glancing over the fight card to the casual fans, I mean, this fight is all about Conor versus Khabib. Let's be honest.
Mm-hmm.
So, what else do I want to talk about here? All right, let's get into it. Make your picks for the main event. Josh, give us a high-level breakdown. We don't want to give everything away. We'll break down the fights on our card on Thursday. To me, this is a stylistic matchup. You're going to have Khabib, who's going to, try to get this fight to the ground and pound and beat the living piss out of McGregor. McGregor wants to keep it standing and find a home for those strikes and knock him out. I think the majority of the DFS community and the gambling community think it's going to happen one of two ways. Conor comes in and starches him, or Khabib comes and ragdolls his ass. Would you agree with that? You know, give me your 30,000-foot overview take of this fight and make your pick.
Yeah, I mean, I think you pretty much nailed it right there. I mean, this seems like a fight with, you know, one of those two true outcome fights, and you nailed it. I think that you can like probably go through all like the breakdown pods that are going to be out this week and like make it a drinking game. Every time someone mentions Khabib's wrestling or top game, take a shot. Every time someone mentions McGregor's left hand, take a shot, and you probably having yourself a good night there. So yeah, I mean that's basically it. Like, can Conor find a home for his left hand early and stun Khabib and get him like on the run, or just like knock him out straight? It seems like he's probably going to have to do that pretty early on within the first 2 rounds, probably, or else Khabib is eventually going to get his hands on him. And even if it takes him a little while to get him to the ground, like once he's clinched up with him, like that's in his world. So even if he struggles initially to get him to the ground, it's going to be kind of a snowball rolling downhill. We know Conor's 2 biggest weaknesses are cardio and his wrestling. And that's exactly what Khabib is going to do to him. He's going to drag him to deep water. So I'm going to pick Khabib. If Conor somehow gets the knockout, I've learned at this point that I can't be shocked when Conor does something ridiculous. You know, I was really anticipating his fight with Aldo, and you know, I'd love to see them run that. I wanted to see them like run that back after it ended so brutally, but that's never going to happen because I know that Aldo had more for him. But you know, when McGregor finds your chin, that can just be it. So, that's definitely in play here. That's definitely on the table as a possible outcome. But the round winner, the guy who has like a consistent path to victory that doesn't necessarily require an early finish, is Khabib, and so that's my pick.
All right, I love it. Man of the hour, Cody. Thoughts on this fight?
Yeah.
You told me beforehand you had a hot take.
Well, apparently it's not a hot take. I did no research, so I don't know what the chalk is. I don't even know who the betting favorite is. I don't look at bets until the night of. But Drew, something you told me a long time ago is when in doubt, you side with the guy who can wrestle.
That's right.
And there ain't many fighters out there better at wrestling than Khabib, whatever his name is. So
you're taking Khabib.
My impression is he's going to maul him to death. Just from the fights I've seen, Conor wins when the guy is up for a brawl. Nate Diaz will just stand there and be a punching bag. He loves brawls. I don't think Khabib's going to give it to him. And how hard is it to train in a training camp to avoid a strong left hook? I mean, if you can't defend that, then you shouldn't be fighting.
That's fair. And I will say to you, the line's opened. I think Khabib is what, plus 120 or minus 150? I think it was. And Conor's plus 125. I'm interested to see the line movement on this.
I'll be betting Khabib heavy at minus 150.
Okay. And I mean, you know, in your favor, the good thing about Conor in this spot for you is he's got that hype, he's got that name value. So I hope a lot of people pour money on Conor just because it's Conor, the Conor effect, and you can get Khabib at a better line. I'll be interested to see what happens with the line movement.
Another thing I want to add is when you can get stunned early. Obviously, I think Khabib will get stunned early by a left hook.
Yeah.
But he can wrestle his way out of that. He'll be able to recover and guard and just end up mauling him in the later rounds.
Yeah, and I think that's definitely a possibility. You know, Conor needs to finish this fight early. And I've learned never to doubt Conor, but man, this is just a tough matchup for me to pick. I really want Conor to win. I'm a Conor blowhard. I got my lion pillows. They're actually not mine. In the background.
Yeah, sure did.
Yeah. So I think it would be awesome to see Conor come back after this long and knock out Khabib. We've never really seen Khabib tested. He's always dominated fights. He is undefeated. So it'll be interesting to see how he handles the striking of Conor. But yeah, give me Khabib here. I think we're 3 for 3 across the board. Something else I want to touch on real quick, guys, before we get out of here. Where do we go after this? So, Josh, let's run a hypothetical here. And I think, I mean, I don't really we'll talk about where does Conor go after this. I think that's more important because, you know, he is the face of the sport. He just signed a 6-fight deal. If Conor wins, who does he fight? Does he stay in the division? I think he stays in the division. Who does he fight if he wins? If he loses, does he come back again? Or is it strictly super fights from this point on? And Cody, as a casual fan, let's say Conor McGregor loses. Who do you want him to see fight next? Do you want to see the Aldo fight? Do you want to see GSP? Do you want to see Diaz for a third time? Or do you want to see him fight contenders in his own division? Do you want to see him fight Anderson Silva? So Josh, let's start with you. Where does Conor go from here, win or lose?
You know, honestly, I don't know. That's kind of the crazy thing with Conor. I think I'm almost wondering if like a Conor loss would be like quote unquote better for the sport, because typically, like, you know, when he lost to Diaz, he wanted to turn right around and like avenge the win, especially if he gets dominated by Nurmagomedov. Like, that's going to really tarnish like his. I feel like that would really tarnish his image. Like seeing this like in this really high profile fight in his own sport, like the Mayweather thing is a little bit different. Like, you know, he was competitive at least early on, and so people are willing to like forgive him getting TKO'd there by Mayweather. But if he gets completely like shit kicked by Nurmagomedov like this in his own division, I feel like that's going to like make him want to come back sooner. So if he wins, I really don't know what happens. If he wins by knockout, like, you know, we might see him on hiatus again for a really long time while he sells whiskey and, you know, just kind of becomes more and more of like a pop culture like icon and less so of a fighter. I think the Mayweather, or not Mayweather, the GSP fight is on the table, win or lose. That fight would make just truckloads of money for both guys, and so if he wins or loses, I really could see him doing either. Like if he wins, having Tony Ferguson in the co-main event, like he is a ready-made challenger for the winner of this fight, whoever that is. If he wins, and so I think like divisionally that fight would make the most sense. But I feel like the Nate trilogy fight is inevitable at some point. I feel like GSP is waiting around for a Conor fight at some point. I think, you know, obviously for his like legacy or whatever, it would make more sense to fight Woodley, but especially if they open up that 165-pound division that Diaz and Poirier are like trying to like grassroots create. Having Conor and GSP fight for the 165-pound title and try to become the first triple champ would be something that like would be too good to pass up. So I definitely think the McGregor or the GSP fight is probably the one that comes to mind first. But yeah. And Cody, you don't have to be super elaborate on that. What do you think? Who do you want to see him fight next? Do you want the super fights? Do you want to see him defend it in his division, or, you know, do you want to see the big time major hype card?
Obviously, I would like the super weight or the super fights. I have a question. What are they fighting this at? Is this a lightweight fight?
Yeah, this is for the lightweight championship. So
okay.
He can fight. I mean,
stylistically, one of my favorite fighters is Dustin Poirier. I think stylistically that would be a brawl, and that fight would sell.
They fought back in the day, and Conor got in his head and beat him. But Dustin Poirier is a different fighter now. He's come a long way. I would love for that fight. I love Dustin Poirier as well.
So it's out of the question that Conor would drop down and fight Max Holloway.
That I was gonna say that is like probably my dream fight. I mean, I think Holloway could move up and fight him. I think that fight, that would be the best fight that you could make. Like just. Yeah, I think Poirier would also be really good, but if Holloway isn't like permanently damaged from like the concussion symptoms we saw him like end up getting pulled from his last fight for, I think that fight would just be incredible.
Yeah. He's
Holloway super fight.
Ortega, right? They just booked that to fight Ortega.
Yeah, I think 232 or 231.
Hell yeah!
Could the Poirier fight ever happen realistically?
If he beats Nate, I think it could.
It depends, because Conor, a lot's got to happen, I think. And Conor wants big big fights. He's definitely going to – he came out and said they're definitely going to run the Diaz fight back a third time. I think he wants GSP. He also said he wants to fight Anderson Silva, but I don't give a shit about that. Silva's past his prime.
That fight makes no sense.
Yeah, it stinks. It's stupid. But it's a payday, so who knows. But anyway, guys, that kind of wraps up the show. We will be back on the air Thursday for full fight breakdowns. As always, Daily Fantasy Knockout, breaking down UFC 229, which is this Saturday night. Really looking forward to that. Before we get off the air, Cody, thank you so much for joining us. We hope to have you on again soon. We're going to try to rip out a few more of these intro shows, kind of high-level shows before the bigger fight cards. And for being a casual fan, Cody, you know way more than the average casual fan. So we got to find a term for that. But again, man, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate your time. No, nothing. Okay, thanks. All right, Josh, you got anything else for the good of the cause?
We'll be back on our regular show, breaking down that fight. Maybe we'll have some proper 12 for the occasion.
Proper 12, baby.
But yeah, so yeah, keep an eye out for that. I'll be posting my premium breakdown, fight breakdowns on Patreon. I'll just be posting those as we have them. So check out patreon.com/dailyfantasyko. We'll have rankings there from Drew and I. We'll have a quick picks article, my betting, my bet picks, I guess you want to call them. And we should probably have, maybe we should have Cody give his guest picks or something like that. But
better picks. I love it.
Yeah, and if he's not picking until the day of or right before the fights, that might be kind of hard. But that would be
I research. I usually, when I get time, I'll watch your guys' pod and make the bets then.
Yeah, and then we can plug him on Twitter and retweet it on Twitter or put it on the website. I think that
I've been on a heater.
That's right. He's been killing it. So, all right, guys, thanks again for listening. Can't wait to break down the fights with you on Thursday. And hang in there. Enjoy the week. See ya. Peace.